The death and destruction of World War II can be overwhelming, and yet often it's the decisions leading up to the war that are most impactful during the war. However, those often are overlooked by the pure carnage that takes place during the war. The rise of Hitler, for instance, often overshadows some of the other political leaders that came to power leading up to World War II. Perhaps most notably, Winston Churchill. In this episode of Watch This, Then That, we're previewing Darkest Hour, Winston Churchill's unlikely rise to power leading up to World War II. No spoilers, I'm just giving you the historical context of the film so you can be an expert while you watch. Let's get into Darkest Hour. The story follows Winston Churchill as the Nazi military blitzed through France and led a charge towards the English Channel. Meanwhile, the British Parliament was in fits about how to oppose this Nazi aggression. However, this wasn't Winston Churchill's first time engaged in World War. Let's take a deeper look into the history of Winston Churchill that brought him to this place leading up to World War II. Prior to World War I, Winston Churchill won office as an MP in the British Parliament and was quickly appointed Home Secretary, or Secretary as the Brits call it. Shortly thereafter, he was appointed First Lord of the Admiralty and took over naval operations for the British military. As the Germans built up their navy leading up to World War I, Churchill insisted on naval superiority, and in so doing he transitioned his fleet from a coal-powered engine to an oil-powered fleet. Early in World War I, Winston Churchill was a strong advocate for the Battle of Gallipoli, aiming to capture the Dardanelles Straits and Constantinople to create a sea route to Russia, then a British ally. The campaign began with a naval assault, but by April of 1915, there was a land invasion. However, the invasion was held up by strong Ottoman opposition. The operation resulted in a prolonged stalemate with heavy casualties, and it ultimately ended in failure by January of 1916. Politically, the campaign's failure led to Winston Churchill's demotion within the British government. And after the end of World War I, Churchill's political party, the Liberals, all but collapsed, leading Winston Churchill to lose his seat in the British Parliament. By 1930, Churchill was back in the British Parliament and was increasingly concerned about the rise of Hitler and German rearmament. He was a vocal critic of the British policy of appeasement, which attempted to satisfy the Germans by conceding to them land and an increase in armaments. Opposition thrusted Churchill back into the political spotlight. Churchill's warnings about the dangers of appeasement towards Germany were scoffed at by many in the political scene in Britain at the time, but his persistence ultimately paid off. As tensions in Europe escalated, his stance as an opponent of appeasement continued to grow within the British Parliament. While the movie is really setting the stage to understand World War II, it's also important to recognize the significance of the interwar period. After the defeat of Germany in World War I, they were reeling in search of a new leader who would take a strong stand in support of the German people. This prompted the Nazi Party, led by Adolf Hitler, who practiced an extreme form of nationalism that we call fascism, to be thrust into power. And while the movie takes place technically in 1940, there are some key dates worth knowing about to be an expert while you watch the film. First, in September 1938, a group of allies, including Britain and France, signed the Munich Agreement, allowing Germany to annex portions of the Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia. 1 year later, in September 1939, Germany invades Poland, which initiates World War II. 2 days after Germany invaded Poland, both Britain and France declared war on Germany because Adolf Hitler would not concede to the demands that they remove themselves from Poland. In April 1940, Germany invades Denmark, and 1 month after that, in May of 1940, Germany invades simultaneously Belgium, Luxembourg, Netherlands, and France. In a single day, the Nazi military had conquered Luxembourg, and shortly thereafter, the Netherlands and Belgium fell to the hands of the Nazis. And where the movie picks up is just after these invasions had taken place, while France was in a panic, fleeing the blitzkrieg brought on by the Nazi military. In the years leading up to World War II, London, the primary place that the movie takes place, is caught between the remnants of its imperial past and the looming shadow of World War. The early 20th century saw London as the largest city in the heart of the British World Empire. However, the economic landscape was shifting. Before World War I, London was considered the world economic superpower. However, after World War I, there was financial crisis across London and Britain. Despite this, London remained relatively prosperous compared to the rest of Britain, with an increasing population from people coming back from World War I. The interwar period was also marked by significant economic distress. In Britain, monetary policies and deflationary measures led to high unemployment. And it took several years before industrial productivity passed that of 1914 London. And ultimately, that would all change again. So hey, there you have it. That's everything you need to know to be the historical expert while you watch the movie Darkest Hour. The movie stars Gary Oldman, who won an Oscar in 2018 for Best Actor, and darn it does he do a flippin' good job. Bravo to you, Gary. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Why is this movie a bomb or a bust? And check out our shorts on the presidents of the American past. Thanks as always for watching. Watch this, then that. We'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.